Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation series.
Because creators are businesses.
What we do is not simple.
Give, the fans everything that they deserve.
Being creative
is like doing a 5,000 piece puzzle.
is something that you can learn and do over and over again.
Always be as authentic as I can be.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation series. I am thrilled today to have the social media manager at Bauer Hockey, Miss Madeleine Eatchel. I am so excited to have her here. Thank you for joining me. I'm so excited to talk hockey with you and get the behind the scenes of everything you're doing.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. It's a beautiful Wednesday to chat hockey.
Yes, it's awesome. I first would love to start with your love for hockey. Where did it come from? Where did it start? Take me back all the years ago. Where to go? Where to start for you?
I would love to tell you my first game, I just fell in love with the sport, but that would be an absolute lie. I was born in Nashville,
Okay.
and so my first game was at the Preds, and I am just the biggest scaredy cat. So when they dropped the big saber-toothed tiger down that the players skate out of, I just started weeping, terrified. I was probably 5, maybe 6, so it's maybe justified.
Yep.
Did not give it another good go until I came to Colorado. My dad's job moved him here when we were young, so I've been here most of my life.
Right.
And he is an orthopedic surgeon and does sports medicine, so he had the opportunity to take care of the DU men's hockey team. So he would work those games, and we got tickets to sit up kind of in their club section, so to speak. And there was always popcorn, and I just loved going to the games because I thought they were so entertaining. So it did not start from the beginning, but as soon as I was old enough to understand what was going on, I just loved the way the game is so fast paced and all the scores have so much purpose and meaning, and got kind of hooked ever since, but never saw myself going into it and kind of stumbled into working in hockey accidentally.
It's funny. I think hockey is the best sport to watch live.
That is so true.
I think it is. And I say to everybody, I'm like, it's one thing to watch on TV, but when I've been able to take people to hockey games, they're like, this is incredible. And I'm like, it's so different than seeing it on TV because you're just able to see the game more.
You see it all unfold from, blue line to blue line, from end to end, and it's such a different rate of play than watching it as all the cuts that make it cinematic and theatrical when they're doing it on TV. That's such a good point.
I absolutely love it. It's my favorite. It's part of, why you and I love this beautiful game. But I want to get into this career journey you have had. What was the moment for you that you said, okay, I want to go work in hockey. I want to get into this, that led you to then working for who you worked for? I'll let you share that whole story.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I think a lot of people who go into sports have this passion, as they should. And my passion for sports has always been there, but I just never saw myself going into it, like we said. But I realized when I did the Disney College program in 2016 that social media was a career that people could have. It wasn't just posting for the sake of posting, but it took time and effort and strategy. And so after I finished that program working at Disney World, and spoke to a lot of people there, I went back to college at the University of Colorado in Boulder, knowing I wanted to pursue social media as a career in the marketing space. So as soon as I got back to school, I reached out to as many people as I could who I knew operated kind of in the entertainment space because I really thought my career would lead me back to Disney. So I knew entertainment, theme parks, sports then became on my radar because we don't have the same access to a lot of, music venues, but Ball Arena at the time, Pepsi Center, definitely was. And I had some connections to their social media manager at the time, as well as the director of the new digital department that had just been founded. So there's a lot of opportunities to get fresh perspective on this growing industry.
Yeah.
And after sitting down with them a few times, following up, I read one of the books, and now I am so blanking on the name, but the director of the department had recommended The Content Trap to me, which was
Okay.
an excellent read. And I had read it, followed back up with him, and just, appreciated that recommendation and asked if they had any opportunities to come shadow with the Avalanche or the Nuggets. And he said, hey, actually, we do have this internship program that just opened up. Why don't you come in and just interview, send me your resume, and we'll get you in.
Okay.
So got to sit in an interview with the social media manager for the Avalanche and the Nuggets at the time. And I had no prior social media experience, but had a lot of technical knowledge with camera operation
Okay.
and had been going to school for marketing and strategy. So I did know the basis, but didn't have those skill sets yet.
Yep.
And was lucky enough to be hired on as the game night intern for the Colorado Avalanche that year, which was awesome.
Very cool.
Supposed to be a semester long program. They asked I would like to extend it to the full season to help finish that out, which was awesome. And then they brought me on part time once my internship finished, so I could continue working while I finished up school.
Yeah.
And then they brought me on full time shortly after that, and I was there for 3 more years.
That's so crazy. And now you've transitioned. Now you're with Bauer Hockey. And
Yes.
for those people who don't know who Bauer Hockey is, we're going to try not to freak out on you about that one, but Bauer Hockey is essentially this top equipment for hockey. It's this top equipment across the board. What led you to go from working inside of a team to then saying, okay, we're still in the sport, but we're not inside the organizations like you were beforehand?
Yeah. So I was lucky enough to be with the Colorado Avalanche in 2022 when they won the Stanley Cup. And at that time, I was the senior manager of social media and digital marketing, which is just a mouthful of a title. I got to oversee our website and social media platforms and how we were portrayed to the world, which was just a really incredible opportunity. And at the same time, I was exhausted. I was running myself thin, and had a really incredible team behind me who was supportive and really great. So we were managing our calendars really well. But I had the idea that maybe it was time to look for something a little more 9 to 5 if I could. I looked in a few places, but really nothing stood out to me enough to leave the role that I was in until I found a posting for Bauer.
Okay.
And I didn't know a ton about the brand at the time, but I did know that they were really heavily involved in bringing up the women's game and putting women on an elevated platform and trying to grow the game there, which is so cool to be here now with the PWHL coming to life and getting to be the official jersey partner for them, as well as an equipment supplier. Stumbling over my words today. But it's been a really cool journey, and I knew what they stood for and what they believed in. And so I took a chance, and it has been a really easy transition. The biggest difference between working for a team and working for a brand is team is so day to day. We were talking about, what trades were happening, and we would find out maybe 5 minutes before, if that. Injuries could happen on the fly. Games would be postponed or changed. So even though you had a set schedule, stuff could still happen.
Yeah.
And so going now to a brand, I get to have more of a set schedule, but still have, I go to hockey games. I still work outside of the hours a little bit, have a little bit more of a predictable schedule with that. And then we're also scheduling things years out in advance. So I already know the products that we're launching for next summer now, and we're starting to plan for next summer now. We already have almost everything shot for what's coming out this summer. And it's way more forward thinking, which is a very different way to think about content, but a really cool opportunity to get ahead of things.
I love that. That is
Yeah.
every social media manager's dream, right
You would
there.
think, but it's also a little bit of a nightmare
Yeah.
because we were planning TikTok content and it's as of, the next few days, it may no longer exist
Yeah.
in the United
What do
States.
we have? What's today? Like we got 16 days, something like that.
Yep.
We got an extra extended, we don't know yet kind of situation happening.
Correct. So, so much can change in social media in such a short amount of time. And someone once told me that social media is the only platform that you don't own. You own your website, you own your retail environment, you own the product that you're selling, but social media, you have no ownership of. And so it's this rented space. And so that has really helped me pivot the way I think about
Yep.
posting to social and gathering content. But, you know, you
Yeah.
have to be ready for trends to change and things to happen like that.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. It is funny, and I love that you pointed that out because it is, you may have a social media page that you've had for forever. Do you know how easy it is for someone to get into your social media pages now and just completely wreck it to the point of you've had an Instagram since you were 12 years old and you could lose it so quickly and have to start all over again, and it's one where everybody dreads.
And everyone, this is your reminder to change your passwords regularly.
Update them, please. I'm
Please.
begging you. Before we jump full into Bauer and the things that you were doing in the social media work, I do just want to ask when you are sitting in the seat you were in with Colorado Avalanche and you're going through something like the Stanley Cup and winning that, what is the most exciting but also challenging part of that role for you?
What a good question. I think it's kind of twofold because I had the opportunity to be with the team, travel to and from each destination.
Yeah.
But my job was not only to cover the team, my job was also to sit in the meetings with all of our sponsorship partners and make sure that they were getting the assets that they needed. I also was making sure we were covering the community relations aspects. So I was overseeing all of that and trying to manage the really cool opportunity to be in these spaces that other people, we were letting them in through the lens of social media, but also manage a full-time job basically on top of it
Yeah.
became really exhausting. So while I am forever grateful for the opportunity, I also am very grateful to have gotten to rest afterwards.
We took a nice long nap.
A long nap. I got so sick once everything was over.
Doubt. I have no doubt. All right, hopping into social media, especially in this hockey world, you pointed out the incredible things that Bauer is a part of. More, I mean, partnered with the PWHL, which is just growing, which makes my heart so happy to see. It makes it, I'm so thrilled that we are seeing all this growth. And especially, I think what's fantastic is even in my community here in a Raleigh, North Carolina, in a non-traditional market, we're seeing juniors grow. We're seeing so many kids hop into hockey that, weren't here beforehand. How does social media fit into all this and act as a critical tool for connecting sports teams, brands, athletes with all of these fans, with all these kids that are growing up and watching hockey?
That's a great question. And I think the answer is kind of the same for both teams and brands. So I'll
Yeah,
speak to the team side first. My goal as the team voice, so to speak, was always
yeah,
to speak as the voice of the Avalanche and
yeah.
be the first place people would want to look for any updates about the roster, any news about what's happening, but also speak as a fan because the fans want to know and they have this rapport with teams. And we were in a really good space with our organization where we were able to be both. There are also organizations who really keep it strictly news related, and that is absolutely their right. We wanted to invite people in because Colorado did not start as a big hockey market and it's grown rapidly over the last few years. Just this week, actually, the PWHL came to Denver and had the highest US based attendance for a professional women's hockey game ever, set a new record. So you know that the market is there and the market is growing. And it was our job to kind of capitalize on the success of the team, but also our outreach in the community. So you're the voice of the team, but also the voice for the fans and balancing those two. On the brand side, we're really looking to grow the game because more people playing means more people buying equipment, which means we're selling more gear.
Yeah.
Great for business overall. But at the same time, I think my focus has really shifted from being more of a news quote source and shifted into storytelling overall. And I tried to do that with the Avalanche as well, but why you want to play hockey, what your connection is to the sport, and driving people to be more interested in the game and also to feel welcomed into the game because the barrier to entry for costs starts pretty high, but also the barrier for entry in knowledge, if someone is not familiar, becomes really overwhelming. So our goals are to make sure parents feel educated on what the right equipment is to buy. And if their source is Bauer, they might consider us first when they're going into their pro hockey shop and trying stuff on.
It's incredible, I think, how much we rely on social media now these days. I mean, it's no shock. It takes up we have apps upon apps, but it is incredible how much of a tool and a resource it has become from a Bauer standpoint, coming in, like you were just talking about, what new products are being released this summer, all these different things that parents can come and learn. The kids are getting excited. They're seeing all this cool stuff. They want all of this new equipment. It's incredible to see how much and how it fits in to the sports world now.
Yeah, it's been really cool. We are launching, it's a Vapor year, so we kind of alternate between our two big lines, and Vapor is the number one hockey brand. Like Bauer as a brand, this is actually the top selling line, not just for Bauer, but across all of hockey. So it's going to be a really big and exciting summer for us. People, I think, will really love the content plan that we've laid out, and not just in terms of strategy, but we've worked with some really incredible athletes from last year and throughout this year to tell the story, not just of the equipment, but of the athlete and the player and who you have the potential to be by using it. So some really unique concepts that came from our creative directors that we've been able to bring to life. I'm so excited to see them come to life because I haven't seen any of the final pieces yet, and that won't launch until we start kind of in May, but you'll really see the majority of it in June. And we have some cool events that we're hosting too to really kick it all off.
Now, when you were just talking about the content, like, how do you guys, when you're putting these plans together, how are you saying, okay, we think this is going to resonate? Are you guys doing any testing around? What does that kind of look like with the hockey audience when you're going and putting these content plans together?
It is truly a year-long process from concept to when you see it. It might even be a little bit longer. So we start talking about everything around May every year for the following summer. And in those meetings, we've already established what our key categories are going to be, and we are doing what we call our go-to-market process. So we'll have our creative director tell us, okay, this is going to be the theme of this campaign. How is it going to come to life on each channel? So how does social interact with that? How does it come to life in our retail stores? And you get to see it broken down, but also how we're all going to work together. So there are these long days of meetings where we're all sitting around a table, but it's an incredible way to see also how other individual departments are thinking about these things and how we can collaborate, because there is a lot of overlap between all of us. And then also where we can come up with new ideas together and what we can bring to the table. So once we have that, we'll do a shoot in usually July, because most of our athletes are completely done with their responsibilities by then. We'll usually have a few women, a few NHL players, and a few like NHL prospects who are kind of getting into the mix. So we have a really nice variety of athletes. And then we'll also shoot a few extra pieces throughout the year. So just recently, we had the opportunity to shoot with Team Canada, and Gavin McKenna, we were able to announce that he was a part of the Team Bauer roster. He is supposed to be the next big thing, and he looks pretty darn good playing with Canada despite the outcome. So there's just continuous stuff. And then now that we're in January, those assets are finally being built and coming to life slowly but surely for launch in about May to June and all the way through the summer.
Very cool. Now, I know I keep going back and forth, but for you, how did your mindset shift in the sense of hockey when it's off season is very different than Bauer when it is a full time? How did your mindset coming into the social media manager role shift?
I was really lucky to have a team that was really supportive and kind of walked me through what that looks like for our business. So nothing came as a huge surprise. I really think thinking about the off season is no longer like summer vacation. That is all of our productions. That is all of our major selling points. So we're kind of go, 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 where the first part of the year is like all the planning and prep work.
Yep.
Go, go, go. And then the fall is kind of when we can take a breath and say, okay, we did it. And then it's holiday and we're trying to sell through all of our holiday stuff too.
Yes, you've got a flow of sorts going.
It definitely is year round, and we're really trying to continue to make it year round. Our organization has now gotten into the lifestyle space, and we have some really cool clothing collections. We'll actually have 4 this year instead of what we had usually done, which was just with the back to hockey cycle.
Okay.
So trying to make something for every season, because you're not just an athlete on the ice, you're an athlete year round. And while I am not a hockey player, I'm really excited about our summer collection because I think I can just as well relax in some of these pieces.
There you go. There you go. Before we hop into more, I do just want to hit on outside of all of this, you've not shied away from doing your own interviews, your own things, and talking about the importance of women in sports, women in hockey, all of these different things. I do just want to hit on your passion for all of this and why you choose to use your platform to do some of that speaking out for women in sports.
I am so glad you asked. I think partially because I've been empowered to be a voice. It would be really hard to say anything if I had people telling me I shouldn't. So I'm really lucky that I've been surrounded by people. And I know that I wouldn't be in the positions that I am without the women who uplifted me to get there. I think one of the coolest things about working at Bauer is that our marketing department is under the direction of Mary Kay Messier, who has established herself as a force to be reckoned with when it comes to hockey and growing the game for not only women, but also in minority spaces and getting really into the weeds of what matters and growing the game through this lens of what can we do from Bauer's perspective and how can we help. So she has been incredible. And if I can just be a little bit like her every day, I know I'm doing something right. But it's important to me too, because I've been in rooms where I didn't feel like I belonged or I felt other just based on my gender.
Yep.
And I am a white heterosexual female. So I also know if it was just based on my gender, there are so many other reasons that other people may feel left out of those rooms. So I want to make it a priority to change that aspect of it in any way that I can, because it's really hard to change any kind of culture if you're not a part of it. So there have been days where I was ready to just throw in the towel and say, I would love to go work at a bank and call it good, but
Absolutely.
being able to be in here, do things, and see changes in the landscape has been really incredible.
I love that. I think, we've been hitting on it a ton, but it's been so incredible just to see the growth. And I love the aspect of social media for us too, because there's all the different, the girls club and all of these different groups who are coming out. There are so many podcasts and all of this. It's not just a male dominated space. anymore. We're putting our foot into the foothold and we're saying, we're here. We're going to come barging in and we're going to make ourselves known as well. So it's incredible to have you as a voice as part of that as well. And I appreciate you doing all of that because it's been you're part of all of this growth and I've been loving watching your journey with all of this.
That is truly so kind. Thank you so much.
Yes, and I can't wait to see, what the next year becomes, all of this change. It's gonna, I mean, everything we that's been going on. I can't wait to see how many more PWHL teams we have. All of this more, it's gonna be so good.
Can't wait for an expansion. And I think if anyone is really into hockey, another really cool area to watch for growth, in the women's hockey space especially, is going to be women's sledge hockey.
Oh,
There are some really cool developments happening there. Bauer has sponsored Team Canada's women's team for a while, and they are just incredible. Their captain, Alana Ma, just an inspiration for the way that she can speak for the sport that has not gotten the funding it necessarily needs and still go play a game and be a whole human outside of that. They're just awesome. So if you guys are looking for some more hockey to watch, that is something I highly recommend.
there it is. All right, I will add it to the list. I do want to hop back into everything we were
Yes.
talking about, but we've talked about some of the challenges just in the sense of social media, like TikTok, all of this stuff. Social media changes every single day, but some of the biggest challenges you faced when managing social media, and we'll just stick to the Bauer side of things. Like, what have been some of these challenges that you've incurred and learned about in the last year that you've been there now?
Gosh, okay. That's such a good question because it's just like a constantly evolving landscape. And I tell students when I'm working with them all the time, TikTok didn't even exist when I first started. It was still music.ly, and people weren't on it as a platform
Yeah.
for any kind of information sharing or content, really, besides music videos. So things have just constantly evolved. And I think ever since TikTok came on the scene, I've really tried to make it a point to stay up to date on everything and at least get to understand everything, if not be involved pretty heavily myself.
Yeah.
Um, and then at Bauer specifically, I think figuring out what's trending and what works, not just in general, but specifically in the hockey space, and finding out who we can reach, how we can reach them best has been a really interesting journey, whether that's TikTok. We have expanded our YouTube plan extensively, upping our production of videos and content that we're putting there tenfold. And we've seen the growth from it. So definitely, I think the next big platform, it's not quite like TikTok, but YouTube Shorts is definitely a growing landscape.
Yes.
Um, and will be really interesting to see. And then just learning how to kind of navigate working with different people and different ideas, because what I concept and like think about for content is so different from our content creator and the way he thinks about it. And his brain is firing all the time. He has a younger brother who's like our target audience. So the things he's seeing are not the things that I'm seeing, and figuring out a way to bring them together and make it branded for us, not just hopping on a trend for the sake of a trend, but making it something about Bauer has been, I think, the biggest learning piece.
We've been talking about this, especially with all of these content plans coming together. Can you give us a behind the scenes look of, from a social media team's perspective, like, what is it when you bring in the athletes and all these other departments in an organization? Like, how does that work? Do you work with the athletes and say, hey, this is what we want to do? Or do they have input on a little bit of this? Like, hey, we're in the game. We think this might be really cool to do as well.
There is a lot of both sides that you'll see definitely come to life. So a really cool example of that, Max Domi is a really big advocate for diabetes because he is an athlete who plays with it. And so he came to us and said, I'd love to create a custom stick to just tell that story. And we were like, hey, how can we help you? How can we elevate that? So we shot a video with him, put it up on our YouTube, and it directs people to go to his podcast to learn more. And so it was just a really cool way for an athlete who's in the game and trying to do a lot of stuff. We were able to elevate what they care about. Similarly, though, when we come with ideas, for example, for this vapor campaign, we know what we wanted to shoot. We had it kind of all laid out in a media day, so to speak. We call it athlete event. And so we just have all of our athletes running through stations, getting all this different piece of content to build it up and make it the way that you're going to see it when it comes to life this summer.
Can I just say that every athlete, I know that they're like, we hate media day and all this stuff. Like, we hate it's such long days. I would be like a kid in a candy store getting to be a part of this and being able to see how, because I mean, we see like when you're in a game or you're on social media and you see the video and everything, you see the intro videos when you're sitting in your seat and you're like, holy shit, that's really cool. I just want to experience it one day and be like, this is really cool because you're getting to see how all these pieces come together into this one thing from all the different departments.
And it is a huge production and it takes so many. So we, let's say, had 12 athletes over summer for 2 days.
Yeah.
That production, we had about 25 members of our staff. We brought in probably about 15 to 20 outside production, and then we had people just managing the production, helping us do it. So there were even more than that. So probably 50 people total just from our side who weren't the athletes. It is a lot to turn this all around and make it all happen. And it truly does take every single person who was there to come to life, including our athletes, including our sweet interns who, did go get the coffee, but also, stepped into net and took shots from Patrick Kane. So there is a wide variety of roles that you step into that you never thought you would need to.
Yes. Yes. There are so many trends happening, and I don't want to lean towards the TikTok side, but just in general, how you like to stay fresh with ideas and up to date with things based on how fast paced, how competitive, how everybody's kind of hopping on concepts really quickly, how you like to do it in social media and stay up to date with things.
Yeah. I think the key for me has always been staying up to date just with what's happening in each platform, both like spending a little bit of time every day on it, but also, if there's any major updates that are coming. For instance, Meta just announced a lot of changes coming to their algorithm and their fact checking. So just being aware of what that could entail and what that could mean for what we're posting. I attended the Gondola Sports Summit last year, which was an awesome way to hear from those brands directly. There were a lot of them that were represented, from TikTok to Snapchat to Meta. So we really got an inside look at what features they're kind of prioritizing. Little things like that have gone a long way. And then just between our Bauer team, we have a group chat where we'll send things and say, hey, did you see this? Like, this is a cool video that we were tagged in, or this collab of two very different brands from us, like, is a cool way to see this come to life. Like, how can we leverage that in our own platforms? And we take so much inspiration from fellow sports brands, but also outside of that, like sports entertainment and even just individuals who are really crushing it on these platforms. We kind of see how we can translate that to what we're doing too.
It's hard because I think as fast as something comes in, it goes out just as fast as well, and something is right behind it. It's this vicious cycle that it's hard to jump on things so quickly and get it out the door with it being timely.
Yeah, it is not an easy task. And I think too, not just jumping on trends for the sake of jumping on them, but really asking if they fit the brand, because sometimes they do and sometimes they don't, and sometimes they maybe just need more tweaking. Yeah. So we decided it was just not worth our efforts this year to do a Spotify Wrapped type post, because we saw so many other brands doing it. We didn't know how we could make it our own.
Yep.
Nothing against those other brands. I think it can be a really fun way to engage with your audience, and a lot of them were really fun to look at. For me, I love Aura Ring. They did a great one. It was so
Yeah.
relatable.
Yeah.
But for us, we just couldn't find a way to make it relevant in the way that we needed to. So just identifying what works and what doesn't, and then also identifying if it fits or not.
Who was your number one on your Spotify Wrapped?
I am an Apple Music user.
I am too. Okay. Everybody was like, oh my God, you don't have Spotify. I was like, I listen to Apple Music. And everybody looks at me like I'm crazy. So I'm so glad that I'm meeting another friend here because I'm like,
Yep.
like,
Listen, I'm still on my parents' plan because we save money where we can, and I don't have to pay for it, and it doesn't cost them anything extra to have me on it. So why would I change?
I love it. I love it. It's that family plan that we care about, guys.
Yes. It was Taylor Swift, though, top artist for my album music.
Mine was Luke Combs, so I'm here for
Love.
it. I can listen to some Luke Combs all day long, but Taylor was on mine too. It was
Mine was a wide variety, so I love this for us.
we got it across the board.
Yes.
I do just want to get some pieces of advice for you that you would give to, particularly women, young professionals that are coming into the space looking to enter sports marketing. I'm sure you get this question a lot, but you being in the seat that you are, would love just to pick your mind on some piece of advice that you would give people coming into this crazy
Yeah.
space.
Yeah, it's definitely a growing space, and I think it is really key to remember that there is room for everyone in it. And so uplifting others as you go is the way to go. And, speaking highly of others goes a long way because everyone knows someone else in the industry too. So, all of that to say, I think starting, if you are unsure where, just reach out to someone that you know is in the space and start asking questions.
Yep.
One on one, networking individually, best way to go. And that's how I got my start. So I can speak really, really highly of it. But I also know whenever students reach out to me, I try to make a point of following up in a semi-timely manner, and at least having a
We'll talk
conversation
about it.
to answer their questions one-on-one.
We won't
So
talk about it.
networking is the key.
Yes. Yes. And I love to see all of the different events and forums that are opening up now that people can join. I think it's so great, especially when it is an all women's panel or it's something like it is makes my heart so happy to see these events happening and that they're full too.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're
It's been really fun to watch. And I also think there's been a lot of men in the space who have worked hard to make it an inclusive one. And so there are a lot of advocates and people you could reach out to who are not just women, but just because they are not the same as you does not mean it's a reason you shouldn't reach out.
My last question for you is what is the most rewarding part of getting to sit in the seat that you do, be part of this hockey world, and have the experiences that you have had? What is the most rewarding part of all of this?
From when I first started, not even in hockey, but when I first entered the workforce, working at Disney World, I loved being able to have community and build community. And sports, I think, are a specifically unique place because people are so passionate. They love their teams, they love their sport. And sometimes all of us maybe to a fault, but you get to see those things come to life and come together. And so being able to do that for women and see those spaces grow and expand, or be able to just find people who really love their hockey equipment and want to post about it. And we throw a comment to say, like, oh, we love that you love your new skates. Like, can't wait to see you on the ice, and how much that means to a kid. Those moments are what means everything. And I think the community is just such a special, special place. And I treasure it so much.
It's so much fun. And I love seeing all the little girls at hockey games now. And I love to see all of these little kids watching hockey in this beautiful sport. I'm like, this is the next generation. This is the next generation that is going to come in and be the next diehard fans after we are
Yeah.
gone, gray, sitting in our seats, not able to cheer as loud as we used to be able to, but it is so much fun to be able to see how excited they get for it.
I am so excited to think about like the fact that my kids will not remember a world in which like women didn't play hockey because I never even thought of it as an option growing up. It just never registered for me. My brothers played and I was like, cool, that's a fun sport for them. Never had an inkling. And the fact that now there are games everywhere and they're selling out stadiums, that's so exciting.
I can't wait. It's so rewarding. I said to my dad the other night, I said, God, I can't wait to be a hockey parent. He just looked at me. He was like, when I grew up, he was like, growing up for me, that was 5:30 in the morning at practices. He said, I don't know if that's the same it is today, but if it is, good luck.
Listen, we've got a really great line for hockey moms coming out next winter, and I will be bundling myself in those. That's all I can say.
There we go.
And a hot chocolate. That's all you need.
There we go. I don't even do coffee, so for me, hot chocolate will be it.
I am a habitual coffee drinker, just part of the routine. However, when I'm at a rink, nothing hits like hot chocolate.
You just, I mean, it still smells good, guys. It's
Yes,
so good.
yes.
Up a few I'm a marshmallow person too. You gotta have
Same.
marshmallows.
Yeah, I knew I liked you. I knew it.
I know we get along at hockey games.
Give me just a good Swiss mix pack with the marshmallows. I'm great.
How we do it, guys. If you see either one of us at a hockey game, we have a cup in our hand, that's probably what it is.
100%.
Yep, yep. I cannot thank you enough for sitting down with me and let me dig into your world and your love for the game. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. Love what you're doing here and really appreciate the way you're elevating people's voices.
Thank you. I so appreciate it. And you guys, if you do not follow this incredible woman, all of her socials are going to be linked down below. So please go keep up with her. And I am so excited to see what you do in this next year, 5 years, all of this stuff as you continue your journey.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Danielle.
Thank you. And as always, I will see you guys back here next time. Bye, y'all.
Bye.